Okay, here we go. We got some weird things happening going on here, technology wise. I think it has something to do with this. I saw Laura Hazel put up a post and a couple other people in regard to the Schumann residence coming up at 4 a.m. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I had to get up. I don't know why, and stayed up for a couple of hours. But anyway, that must be what it is. I can tell we're going to have a really good show with Keleena and William. Talk a little bit about divine union, what it's like to go through the transition we call ascension as a couple, and all the things that come with it. Everybody thinks it's all fluffy, love, and light, but I think we've learned by now that this whole trip is about engaging both polarities on any subject at all. So we're going to bring up Keleena. I just want to say to everybody, thank you for your continued love and support and contributions. If these shows resonate with you, please share so we can stay above the algorithms at Facebook, as well as if they resonate with you deeply, please consider supporting us with a contribution so we can continue to do this as we travel through the country following our highest guidance, Morgan and I. But a big thank you to everybody. Let's see. Let's pull them up now. Let's see. Here you go. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, yes. I can hear you just fine. You guys look lovely. Absolutely lovely. Oh my God. It's good to see you again, Keleena, and it's good to meet you, William. I've heard quite a bit about both of you. I don't get a chance to follow too many people closely, but yeah. And thank you for the service that you're both providing for us. I know you both have individual journeys and of course as a couple. So I don't know if you remember, Keleena, but we just have a conversation here. This isn't really a Q&A. You can ask questions as well. Just having a conversation with all our brothers and sisters. And I want to thank you both for sharing space with us today and honor us with your presence. How long have you guys been together?
Forever? No.
One level.
Yeah, and one level forever. But
yes.
Since May.
We merged in May. We'll put it that way. But
you merged.
We merged in May.
Wow, that's cool. And of course, there's no linear, so there's no judgment of longevity. I've met many couples. We've actually, I think, been in the presence of over a dozen carrying the code, and some have been together I've met some that have been together 20 years, divorced, came back together, and some that have been together just a few months. But like I said, there's no linear. Now you mentioned the word merging. That's how Morgan and I came together, September the 3rd, 3:33 in the morning, Central Standard Time, in 2015. I was a bloody mess when we met, and but it was all perfectly orchestrated. In my case, in our case, it was a situation where I had sent her a message. I was kind of stalking her. I kept, going to her pictures and like, why is this person, like I can't get her out of my head. This went on for about 6 months. And then I sent her a message and I said, oh, you got the same story, right? So I sent her a message and I said, would you be interested in joining the Soulogy group? Which I had never done before. I had never sent anyone a message asking me. And of course, it was a come on. And so she wrote me back and said, yeah, what's it about? And I said, I'll get back with you in a day or, I'll get back with you because I'm kind of busy right now. And so then I wrote her back and I said, yeah, I'm ready to talk now. She goes, oh, well, don't worry about it. You didn't answer me. So I checked it out and I went ahead and joined. And I believe, yeah, that was the message. I was curled up in a ball on my couch in the original studio, and I was going through some major stuff. I called in Kuan Yin. I remember very clearly, and I went through some stuff, and I was still curled up in a ball, and I leaped off the couch at 3:30 in the morning, and I said, I need her now. One of those things where your spirit just moves you. You don't even know why you're saying it, and like 2 minutes later, she messaged me and gave me that message of, I've already checked it out. You didn't get back with me. And, but and so I just told her, I said, I need to talk to you. And then we ended up having an interlude, through, messaging. We merged and it was very real. And that was the beginning of many, many mergings that occur every night now. And, but so the merging, was it something that occurred like that? Was it almost immediate or were you guys talking beforehand?
Well, what's funny is years before, I've always had the energy of him with me my entire life since I was 15, in my bed, wrapping arms around me like wings and me every night. So it was very etheric from the time I was 15 until last May 2019. So it was 37 years of that, very etheric. I can hear him telepathically. And we merged actually many times etherically, but when we finally met, or when he he found me within not even 2 days, like 36 hours, 24 hours or something.
From my place in the evening.
Yeah, so it was maybe 24 hours or just a little more of merging while he was in the Netherlands and I was in the US. But it was just so strong and powerful. And since then, we are like each other's energy.
Yeah.
It was before, I always felt him, but now it's like whatever he would do, I felt. Even things that, do you mind if I say?
No, it'd be free.
Even in the Netherlands, everybody smokes, you call it marijuana or something else.
Just weed, marijuana.
And so when he would smoke it in the Netherlands, and I didn't know he smoked it, I'd be at home here and I've never smoked it in my life, like getting high and dizzy and going, what is going on? And I couldn't walk. What is going on? So I messaged him and I said, something's wrong. I'm really dizzy. I can't walk. I feel really high. My daughter made me lay down, and all he sent back in the message was, "Uh-oh."
I said, oh no.
Uh-oh, no. So
yeah, that's one of the attributes of yeah, because I've gone through the same thing with Morgan. It's like yeah, it's, I always make a joke about it. When you're with someone who is carries that priestess, high psychic ability energy, and there's nothing to hide. And occasionally she asked me the other day, she's like, did you drink some of my chocolate milkshake? I said, no, I didn't. She goes, are you lying? I said, no, because I can't. It's like she reads my mind, and it actually, now that you bring that up, and again, there's no coincidences. Last night, we lay down every night, we put our hands together, and then we connect. And last night, and this is, I've felt, been in her body, I've been her. I mean, it's all that But last night was kind of interesting because we went to sleep, and sometimes we don't say anything. We just go, and we didn't last night. But I distinctly remember last night. It's just coming back to me that I actually went with her. You know, like she went up into the ethers and connecting, and I had my consciousness, but then I was her. So, and I don't remember the details, but I remember very clearly that I was actually seen through her eyes. You know, so it's an interesting mix how these things happen. You know, so now when you guys have been together for a few months, which is a long time. Has the merging expanded? Have you
Well,
gone into?
like
Yeah.
recently, 2 days ago,
2 days ago.
I really experienced that I felt my twin ray, the twin ray from Source itself, the ray came down on me.
Over us.
Yes, and for me it was like the Yeshua, Christ, or Sananda's energy, what it actually is for me in my whole life, a topic with Lady Nada, came down on me, and then I felt me standing in a flame.
Well,
And-
explain it the way we were though.
and-
We were hugging. We came together, hugging.
Yes, yeah.
So our hearts like opened like a flame.
Hmm.
And the ray came down. I actually could see it, but then we both felt the flame, like we were in. But it came from the heart. It opened up. Go ahead.
And then Lady Nada spoke through Keleena as the higher self of Keleena. And so when I merged with my higher self, the twin ray of Sananda Nada came actually down within us as the twin flame.
Mm.
And then she said, this is the moment where you have been waiting for all your life. Because when I was 11 years old, I had a vision of a young girl in that time. For me, it was my own age. And I saw her in the swimming pool. And then I had a dream of her that she came the next day in my class, and that happened. But her name was also connected towards Lady Nada. And my whole life I had like reflections with names who Lady Nada was, through those women, was guiding me towards this point of merging now with Keleena. And that's been such a magical journey for me, not easy, because every time I got rejected, because I wanted something, but that was a reflection of my own merging within me with my higher self. And I cried a lot, many years, and yeah, that was a beautiful journey. Also,
But that was a powerful merge of energy when our hearts just opened and you just felt this fire like blast out of us. And then we were like, the whole body was on fire. And the ray was around us, and it was just, wow. That was a different type of merge than we've ever had before. So
I felt the flame in me. Keleena is very in that way, lighter or in the development like further as me in that way. So she feels much more as I do in this moment, but still it's happening, and I'm more. We are merging more, and I'm more opening up. And that's exactly what is in synchronicity at this moment in our experience, what's happening also with the earth and with more twins, that the divine masculine energy is more surrendering and opening the hearts to the feminine energy. Yeah. And it's so beautiful to experience, that synchronicity. Yes.
Yeah, that resonates very deeply. It's very much in line with what we've been receiving. And as a man, as a masculine incarnation, what I've been feeling, I heard the other day, just yield to her, allow her to lead, basically, knowing that at some point there'll be equality. Now, I stalked Morgan for 6 months. How did you guys meet? Did you stalk her?
Well, I had
tell them 3 times.
Yeah, well, like I said, I had many. I had females in my life, because many is relative, who had names, and I had like an intimate relationship and also an energetic relationship with a twin of mine in Canada, and Nada is also in the word Canada, and her name was Kelly, and that was in a synchronicity. And when I met Keleena, I saw her picture on Facebook, and then I saw her last name, and her last name was the same last name as the former relationship before even the lady in Canada I had, who left me for several reasons. I had a company, and it's a big story. We are mentioning that in our book. But we broke up, and she left with a man with the same last name as Keleena. So I saw her on Facebook, and I saw her last name, I saw her picture, and she's actually, she's look-alike, because twins in that way, they look like each other. If you are in a particular vibration, you can see the physical manifestation in your reflection. So I knew her, so I tried to connect with her on Facebook, and she didn't respond. So, and then after maybe half a year, I don't know exactly, I tried it again, you know, and I thought, oh, she's feeling me and she's rejecting me and I'm not good enough, and et cetera, et cetera. So
I didn't see him.
And in the meantime, other twins came on my path. So I was just, another twin came on my path, and she reflected me also a lot of things. And but that was not my path, because Yeshua came also through other people and gave me messages through other people, and he was guiding me. And he said, I have to choose for the light. And in that moment in my life, Kelly was for me the light. But she didn't connect and let me come in that way. And that was all fine. It's all perfect in harmony. And so, yeah, then after that, we connected.
Well, then he friended me one last time. And I had just cleared like 250 people out of my Facebook, because you know you get the 5,000 limit, and then you have those people that don't do anything. So I cleared them out. Spot left to fill, and I was going through them. There's like over 1,000 people, and then I just decided the last one I'm just going to do like a slot machine, and let it flow, and it landed on 10 people, and he was right in the center, and I was like, oh, I like his energy, and it was just a little picture of him because he was teaching yoga at the time, and I could barely see him because he was in lotus position. But I really liked the energy that it came, and I'm like, I'm going to pick him. So I picked him. And when I did, he responded, why now?
Yeah.
It had been 18 months he'd been trying
to connect. And I was really in a phase of reflective energy, and actually my mind started to get confused of what is now really the thing I had to choose for. So I chose in that moment for the light. And then after a while, she told Keleena's real name.
My earth name.
Her earth name, and that was Kelly. So everything was in alignment, and I was really amazed. And in that moment when she told me that, my ego could not think anymore. I had no reflections anymore. I was completely silenced, and it was this was it. And yeah, and I surrendered to it.
There's more stuff that leads up to it, but that's the main. He's been for 18 months.
And I am so grateful for all that happened, also in reflection with the woman in my life who showed me the way. And women also. Yeah. I'm Dutch. So.
He's Dutch. He's learning English.
Yeah,
he's doing a great job. He's got a great tutor too, as well. So, and you mentioned earlier about that there were many, I think you said many couples coming together. There's, you know, the subjects or the aspects, the templates that seem to be coming to some of them that can't seem to be coming to the surface: sacred union, sacred sexuality, and you know, in that respect. And you know, we've learned we were pretty open about it. Sacred sexuality, you know, at least from our experience, doesn't have anything to do with lust. It doesn't have anything to do with what we used to do. And it's kind of like we're starting all over. And so the sacred sexuality is many things, from holding hands to connecting together to intimate moments that might look similar to our old 3D intimacy and that type of thing. But one of the things that comes with it is a tremendous amount of activations and codes and information. What's that part of your life together been like? Your sacred intimacy, has it brought more information? Have you elevated and accelerated as a result? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, there's a lot to it. I'll speak a little bit and I'll let him speak. It definitely has brought more healing through that part. but also the work that we do is turned into, we do tantric work for,
Yeah, Tantra, in a sense, the
We
word means
clear-
expansion of consciousness. Tantra means.
Yes.
clear things. It just has become that. It developed into that. But we also, like we're doing an event in the Netherlands, a Tantra event where we can activate people's kundalinis now. That's part of our work as well. So we're healers. We're both multidimensional quantum energy healers, and our healing has actually activated and is much stronger. Every time he does that, he's clearing. So, but yes, all kinds of codes coming in that come through us, and we can actually activate sacred sites when we're together and we're doing this. When we do grid work and we travel, we activate sacred sites and do. Go ahead, you can chime in.
Yeah, every human being in that way is a gateway, a star where energy can go through, and that energy can incarnate or be injected into the Earth grid field. It's for the Earth, and also it's healing for ourselves, because our own light body will expand and will get stronger. And when you are like merging with your quantum part self, that's the highest merge you can have, then the gateway is also high. So all the twin flames that are now coming together as a twin ray, they will have the highest vibrational merge together. And they form also the biggest gateway to let divine energies pour into the Earth, so that the magnetic field of Mother Earth will be changed in a high vibrational balanced state. Yeah. So everybody will unconsciously be affected by that in a beautiful, positive way. The transformation, of course, is not always fun to do, because we have to let go. Yeah, you know, our addictions, or how do you say that? The attachments, yes.
Yeah. Distractions.
Yeah, also. So in that way, the holy, for me, what I've received from that, the holy sexuality, also lust, it's an energy you can play with together, but bring that up into a higher consciousness and let it merge. Because if you do it without of love, you're going to create karma again, because it's the low vibrations. So
true.
Yeah, but still, it's also important to ground the higher energy into the lower, and then purify all those subconscious energies within our being.
Thank you. Yeah. I know we've had some experiences where the physical and then the non-physical, well, the light bodies, you know, we've obviously done, we were like you, we were apart, you know, for almost a year and a half before we ever met. So we did a lot of etheric merging through the chakras and such. And then when we got together, as time went on, we started to have experiences where the physical and the non-physical kind of came together, kind of like a physical Helios Gamos, which was just, you know, mind-blowing. Have you experienced something similar to that?
Yes. That was Christmas Day. That was on Christmas Day this year that we actually experienced that, and the energy was pretty potent, powerful, and the activation when you're together is just, how do you say it?
I don't think you can.
It's like everything, you both become all and everything together at the same time when energy just flows. Yeah,
it's a beingness.
A beingness. It's
also a vibrational energy where you can be in that moment. It's still, for me, it's still reflective in every moment where you are in that moment of consciousness, and every day is a new creation. So every day you have to align yourself also together to stay in alignment. Yeah. Also, what me concerns that, or our concern in that way, we also like and the stars are also giving energy to the planets on our emotional system. So there is also a guiding system to one of the sisters, I may say, and then some energies came on our path, try to break us, to disturb our connection together. So we are have to. It's like a test also to stay ground in our connection, and also stay ground in the truth that Keleena is love, I am love, and then the connection with source, and that connection is the reflection of our connection within us, and that's also deciding in every moment what our merge is together, and that is elevating on a higher level, and that's also depends what your mission is, what role you have took towards the planet, towards God, and to balance its energy. Like, for instance, if you are already merged as a twin, you can pick a higher mission on a high vibrational level. So then your energy system is being stronger and also infected with a stronger disbalanced energy, if that makes sense.
Yes,
so
it does.
balance yourself on a new level, on a higher level. And that makes that you're ascending higher and higher and higher. So it's not that you're already ready and still you are ready, because you say that you don't ready because you're a creator. You're going to create that. So in that way, you're always ready. That's the paradox of this reality. So yeah, for me, it's like, it makes me joyful and happy to expect even more merges that we're going to experience, and more love and more power and wisdom in our beingness and in our love.
And our oneness with our union with.
Yes.
And when you, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I feel like it elevated your frequency
When we first met?
and when you had that merge with the Hyrule Stamos.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, this is where I was going to ask you. The next question was, because it's very intriguing to me, really all of us have had these divine episodes, divine intervention, dimensional experiences on our own. But then when you have two, and that starts to happen, and that's one of the things, to answer your question, our Christmas Day one was early last year, and it just came unexpectedly, and it was about 4 hours long, and we didn't even break a sweat, but the physical and the non-physical merging together in intimacy and sacred intimacy was just, like you couldn't even know what was going to happen. And of course, I could go into a lot of things, but this is about you. But to answer your question, during and after that time and other times, we, beings came into the room, the ceiling disappeared, the walls disappeared. I mean, we're basically laying in a bed in the middle of the cosmos, and a lot of information and data would come in. And it would also seem, what would seem to happen too is when we would have something like that happen, it would take a few days before anything else would happen. I mean, it was almost like we had to embody and kind of integrate and balance. But does that sound familiar?
Yes. After Christmas Day, I felt like I had to go through like a recalibration, is what I feel like, being recalibrated. And that's why I asked you, do you feel like you accelerated?
Yeah, there's been many times, and when you said that about the energies that were kind of like testing you, I know I've heard and seen where people have written toward the end of last year in particular that the divine unions were really going to be tested. And I actually saw a few that kind of went apart, some that have come back, some that haven't, that to my knowledge. But there's, if I look back at last year, and we spent all of last year together except for 57 days because I counted them, uh, there was a lot, and not so much now, but even up to like maybe a few weeks ago, there's been a lot of recalibration going on. So like when the energy comes in, like even earlier this month, we hit a point where, and we hadn't been separated since probably April, I think. Uh, we'd been traveling around, and we both, knew, she got it first. I need to go. This next one, I need to go away. I need to go. She went to stay with a friend for 8 or 9 days, And when she told me that, you know, the human part of me was like, oh man, but the other part of me was like, yeah, I need to be alone too. So yeah, so it was a recalibration at a pretty pretty high level, in particular this month, almost like in preparation for what's coming, say in March, April. And but yeah, it was very important that we separated, even though while we were separated, we were having experiences at the same time that were very similar and really were the same thing. Yeah. So, and the other thing I'll say too, and I would ask you, we have cohabitated for quite some time now, and we do very much understand and respect and honor when we need to be in different rooms or in different beds, or and not because we're upset with each other, but so you understand that. So can you talk about that a little bit?
On your own energy.
If
Yeah.
there's still in that way, and that's also in every moment, like tension coming up from thoughts connected to the subconscious, it disturbs your own energy field and the connection with source or your higher self. So the other person will feel that. And when you then close together, then it disturbs also the other one's connection with source itself. So in that way, the main source connection is from every individual with source itself. And yeah, then it's time to in that moment to be aware of each other's energy field.
Mhm.
And when I went back alone one time to the Netherlands,
Well, yeah, and I have to say that I was guided that you need to go.
yeah,
I was guided that he needed to go because we can't live together because he can't be on this continent for the visa stuff.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, so I was guided that he needed to go, and that's when it was the end of this year, just like you just said.
Mm.
This is when that person came in to try and.
it was also the divine plan. It's to the stars and everything. So,
but he had to go, and what I was told before you left was that you had to go be in your own energy, and you had to what was that I said? You had to connect back with your divine self, because with the last relationships you had, you've lost a lot of your connection. And I was shown that he needed to go back and connect stronger, and that he would.
Yeah, I had to release still some things of my past, and the magical thing was that those experiences from the past, they literally came back in a manifestation. In one relationship where we broke up, and that was also like for me also now that I now realize also a sacred relationship. That one time I went to a pub or cafe, and that name of that cafe or pub was the same as the street of where the person in that moment lived. So creation itself let me a repeat shown in my reality so that I could see what the choice was that I needed to make, what the choice was for love and for myself. And still there were things coming on my path, also books came forward and channelings, but I knew this is not the right channeling or the right field of what is in that book is not right for me. Can be for somebody else, his reflection in his reality can that be, but not in mine. So I had to choose for myself completely to be in truth of my own path. And that's what I did, and I managed that. And thank you, God, that God showed me the way. If God not had shown me the way in that way, it would be very difficult for me in that way, the triggers that came on my path, to make the right choice, because it's my own subconsciousness, my own shadow side, what still is coming up there. Yeah.
You need to explain a little bit. The books and the channelings or whatever that he was told were that he shouldn't be with me.
Ah.
And was bringing channelings or bringing readings out of their own ego that he should be with them rather than with me. So he had to go into his own divine self and connect and
yes,
receive his own.
The tricky part was in those books or channelings, on some certain level, there was also some kind of truth in it.
At a fourth dimensional level.
Yes, so that was on a dimensional level true, but on a higher dimensional level, it wasn't true anymore.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I can relate to that totally. And I was going to ask you. I'll ask you in a second, but yeah, I can relate to that. So it's like you're letting go. You're letting go uh, well, it's weird because you're an individual, and that's where it starts and stop and ends. But then at the same time, you've got this connection. So it's almost like there's three. You know,
Yeah.
there's her, there's him, and then there's them. And it's kind of some kind of weird beyond the 3D
Well,
mathematics, you know, but yeah, and so like now has your time together since May, have your individual journeys and journey together, has it had any type of correlation or parallel to the masculine and feminine energies collectively and what's happening with that?
Oh yes.
for me directly, sometimes I had, even in the past, I had experiences of what I sometimes did with somebody because I was like a, how do you say that, an anointment. I had that one before in my life, and for a while I did also sacred work with her. And what I experienced with her in that time, the next day it came into channelings. So there was an affirmation what the work we did, and now with Keleena happens the same on a stronger level, what is perfectly resonant with my reflection, my reality, what is connected to the earth. And I believe more twins are experiencing this on a higher vibrational level.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of the people, the couples that I've talked to, and I'm really happy because Morgan, I guess you're the first couple, but you know, we landed in a place where we can broadcast every day for 6 weeks, which is a blessing. And but a lot of the couples that I've talked to have a clear, defined mission together. You know, they had individual missions, then they meet, and then it becomes like a fusion, which I think is still occurring. And I love what you said about as you expand, you can actually raise the mission. I think is what you said. You can actually go to a higher mission because of the connection. But do you guys feel that you've identified what your mission is together? It sounds like you're already doing stuff together.
We started doing stuff like immediately.
Kia kurta sa sinto ko pui ninna satia. Ko tia nindo gorda sa sinti intia ninna kai. Ko tu gorda sa sisha. Ainta. Intinno ko ta ishi sinte ko teori tisitika ati. Ainno mordo so ko puria ta sishinta kati. Aina kia ta.
The fire is coming out of my heart right now. You feel it?
Manino ko satia ta ko saina kaiana. Ko puria na maninta. Susuia tia na minta kati no kurta ka sasiata. Aia ninuia sasia na minto joita tito to obata. Kia suia hia na iata. Kia ninu kumpuriati. Inira.
Now I'm on fire.
Wow. Almost makes me need to go smoke a cigarette after intimacy cigarette. Yeah, I could feel that too. But you obviously have a mission that's formulating and evolving together. You talked about you're doing something in the Netherlands.
Yes, we started actually immediately when we met in May, and I was in meditation. I was like, okay, why every time we would try and turn away from each other, there was a sign, no, go back. Like I would be driving and I'm like, is this really the guy that is really is in my painting? Because I was painting looks just like him. It literally like, and I'd be driving going really, 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 and like, give me a sign. Boom, this guy pulls in front of me, the license plate, William. And I'm like, okay. There's so much. So I meditated, and in the meditation, I'm like, what are we doing together? Because I felt that urge that we're supposed to be together, working. And in the meditation, they showed me to bring him into the Sisters of the Rose events. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa. That's the Magdalene stuff that I do. That's, the activations and that stuff. And they said, now you're going to merge the Melchizedek and the Magdalene together as the Sisters and Brothers of the Rose, because that's what it actually is. At some point it was separated, and the women were put here and the men there. So we're going to be doing the merging. So I messaged him. We'd only known each other 3 weeks. I'm like, 3 weeks. And I'm like, so you want to do an event with me? I already have it set up. And and he was like, what? And so his Melchizedek energy, which I have that as well, and my Magdalene, we did an event, and it was like fantastic in the Netherlands. It was sold out like that. And it just kept going. But that's not the only thing we do. We do sacred site activations. We do healings together. We do so much stuff. The Kundalini work that we activate people's Kundalinis. It's like endless. You can just keep going. And I think with the twins that they'll be able to just do more and more.
Yeah.
In my storyline, and it's a story, so in that way there are many stories, many timelines, and parallel realities. So this is not the truth. It's one of the truth. This is my, in that way, movie, and still there's one particular movie in that way. With our energy concerns, is for my, it has to do with the story also connected to Adam and Eve, and they came here in a mission to balance the energy, and that's also the feminine and masculine energy that works now through a lot of more people, so that the whole balance of Mother Earth itself, after the dark ages in that way, is coming back into balance again. And that works through many people. And people in a high vibrational that are now ready to merge in this timeline and experience, because everybody's going to experience that one time in their creation and lifetime. It's not that's only for us now. In the fifth dimension, you can even choose to experience somebody's life. You incarnate, like if you go to a video store and you pick a movie and okay, I want to live that life for one time. There's no limit in creation in that way. So yeah, and that's for me now. For me, the biggest mission is to merge within ourselves again with the divine, so that our own balanced reality can be reflected in this reality again.
Yeah.
Create our own life for ourselves in this moment, and for everybody who can relate to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Be continual, and for you guys, I mean, for all of us that are doing this twin ray work, it's just continual and blossoming and evolving. You feel it's evolving, guys?
Absolutely. And I love the way you described it a minute ago with you know, as you elevate, you can actually, I guess, refine the mission or take on new missions or expand the mission or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to that. One of the things that we've been dealing with, you know, probably for a year, has been how do we do this? How do we make this work? And I read and observe and experience, you know, the feminine energy. And again, as we all know, we're talking about energy that's predominantly represented in the physical incarnations, but not always. We've got friends that are same-sex couples that are carrying the codes. But my point is that, you know, the masculine seems to be, from what I can gather, the creator, the creation aspect, the building aspect, where the feminine seems to be the vision. And I don't know if that's accurate, but have you gone through anything like that? Or do you have specific attributes or characteristics within yourself, like Keleena brings this part and Michael brings that part? Or is it kind of all mixed together?
Thank you for calling my name.
You said Michael. Part of you.
For me, the male energy in that way, also I've read that in one of the Wiliam Melchizedek books. The male energy is like a line. It has a beginning and an end. So it's like a thought. So it's a mental energy. And the female energy in that way is like a circle. It's the feeling, it's the consciousness. And for me, why is the feminine energy the one? Because it's endless. It's creation itself never ends. So it's that way, feminine energy. That's consciousness. And the mental energy, the thought, are like the receivers of that energy. That can be your high consciousness, but can also be your lower consciousness or subconsciousness. And that's a translation. So it doesn't mean that men don't have it, that they can receive messages. But if you are in alignment in the truth, what male and female energy are represent, then it's the female energy that is the reflective energy from the thought concept of the person who is the central person in itself. At the end, when we are one with the twin, then you are like one together fused, or like an angel, then you are together one, and also within your creation. But there will always be, on a higher level, a female energy as your reflector, and there's only one who will reflect your energies, and that will be in perfect balance if you are in balance within it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
yes, there's certain things that you do and certain things that I do. I can bring, I am like, boom, connected, bring the messages, all that stuff, and give to him. Just like in Oracles of Delphi, the same thing, giving messages to Apollo, that kind of stuff. And it's funny because when I first painted that painting, I'm like, is this Apollo in my painting? And that's what we're
Obviously, I thought it was Archangel Michael.
Michael, yeah, obviously you thought you're so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's the same here, and I think from everything I've seen, it's the she, the feminine seems to be like the transmitter, like she's there's a different kind of connection there, I've noticed, and I sometimes would struggle with that.
Well, I do know about that. That's Lemurian energy.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about that, but back in Lemuria, the women were the ones who were connected to source like that. They brought the information through. They were the ones that would tell the men where to hunt to find the food. They honored the women for that. The women were the shamans. They were the nurturers, the teachers. They were the caretakers. They taught love. They had the sacred circles. The men went and did the things that they needed to do. And but the women had the psychic ability, and they also were able to read the stars.
Yeah.
So they were able to give the information to the masculine, but they equally honored each other for what each other could do in that. And that's what with the twin flames, twin rays, whatever we are to do with each other, is to honor that way. One does one thing and the other one does it, but it brings it into a union and a balance, which is harmonic at that harmonic vibration, where Lemuria once stood. So that's that. What we're doing on the earth right now is to try and bring everything back into that harmonic vibration, and it starts through the masculine and feminine uniting there first.
Yes, you have to go through this experience to acknowledge yourself, to acknowledge God's existence of itself. And you can read a book about it, but you really have to go through the experience to really embody that in your own consciousness.
Yes.
And you can radiate that consciousness out of your own system. Sometimes you don't even have to use a word. Only your radiance and as presence here on Earth is enough to transform the Earth. Yeah. That's and the law of that time, the law of one was really in consciousness. And when you forget that law and you're going to react in duality, you create karma and a disbalance in your own system that will be reflected, and then you lose your way and you have to find your way back again in the law of one. And that's now we are coming back again to that unification. But that's within ourselves, even in the love story.
Well, it's interesting too, because it's almost like there's an owner's manual for 3D and there's an owner manual for 5D, but we're right in the middle. So you have this multiple stream experience where you can't leave the human. So you can't leave the human aspect out. I mean, that's seems to be more and more every day. The primary, or nothing happens without it. But anyway, what I'm saying is, so we go through these different things as individuals, all of us. The energies come in and they rock us, and and things come up, and emotions come up and such. But we also are doing it as a couple. And so, like, at the multidimensional and higher level, it's very easy to figure that stuff out, and be okay with it. But at the human level, it becomes really a blessing. It doesn't feel like a blessing all the time when it comes in. But I guess where I'm going with this is, how do you handle together as a couple when things come in and offer challenges or opportunities for growth, in that there's two instead of one. So it makes it a little bit different. You know what I mean? I mean, do you have any type of way that you connect, or do you do it apart, or how do you address those things when they come in? Do you address them as a couple?
No, we are one, and also one with the messengers through us. And in that way, Keleena is the messenger, and sees the gateway and sees the feminine, and she is also the one in that way, reflective for me, and also connected to the angels and the masters, and they also say we are one. They are not separate. It doesn't matter on a higher level of dimension. They are all one. We are all one. We are like one body. There's no separation anymore. And I'm very happy now that I can function in this way, in this reality. I would not know if I didn't. I've gained the trust in the emptiness, and of all that everything will, because law of attraction, everything comes to you if you are in love and in balance. Everything comes to you. Even if you go sit in a cave and meditate, there will be a woman coming to you suddenly. Hello, you want something to eat or something? But that guidance is there, and for me, I'm bowing down to that deeply.
Yeah.
And I did that the first time, and I realized also through a woman who reflected me that I realized that everything was really one, that I'm everything, and everything what I think or do towards one another is actually towards myself. So it's really reflective. How much do you love yourself and yourself as another? And the guidance now through Keleena in my life is really in the same way as you had experienced. I was really sitting in a dark hole somewhere.
Yeah.
She saw me there, and she felt like I have to pull him out of that. And
yeah, I was going to say, yeah, they had to pull our asses out of the fire. But do you ever have imbalances? Like, and if you do, how do you handle the imbalances when they come in?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's going to happen because those are things that we have to clear.
Sure.
So it's going to happen. For instance, I have two teenagers. Well, my daughter just turned 20 and my son's 18. And when they come in with their 3D stuff, even music that bothers, it's hard for us with our music. It can throw us both off, where he can be a little bit upset with the music in a different way than I can. So it causes a little bit of a imbalance where we have to then come back together, and look at it from different perspectives,
mm-hmm.
and bring it back into a wholeness.
For me, in that way, like the common thing is in my life is that I don't see my own physical son. So in that way, I never had like an interaction with children. And the daughter of Keleena in that way has, the same name as my own son, even. So strong is the reflection. And for me now, I can, in a very short time, by the way, I can pick up kind of a role to be a father towards children in some situations. For me, that's very triggering. But also what I'm taking up then is my own experience as a child towards my own parents, what is really strongly being reflected now, because the judgments of my own parents are now reflective on the other side of the world in this reality. And that's really amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm really getting angry in that way. I'm getting annoyed and I'm observing it, what's going on, and then how I'm going to respond to that. And then, and now the magical thing is that her daughter was only here, and now her son is also in the moment in time here. And then the masculine and the feminine energy are now together in this home, and suddenly the energy is balanced. And the things that I wanted to say, I can say them now, and in a manner way, with my wisdom and knowledge, that they understand it, and the energy transforms immediately.
In a balanced way, as I've learned after much guidance from my wife. I said, can I say something to you? And she's like, in a balanced way, you can. so, so I had to learn that one, but I'm glad to hear these stories. I sometimes would, think, well, are you just, talking to myself with that, defeatist talk and be like, oh, am I just, not getting something? Is there something that, but I do see the similarities with y'all and others where the feminine has certain attributes, certain characteristics, and the journeys were totally different journeys. I mean, we didn't have to pull them out of the fire, and there's a reason for that, at least on this particular incarnation, right? Yeah. So I mean, so there obviously when there's any kind of imbalance, and Morgan has a great saying, she'll say sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's just the energy. So it doesn't really matter what it is that brought the energy forth. And it sounds like you do some, I'll call it 3D, talk it out, like in something we're familiar with. But do you have any other way that you deal with it besides talking out? Like, do you connect in a certain way? Is there anything you do where you just take the words out of it?
Well, because the energy in itself is like the drawing, and then the physical thing is the building. We start to align and connect with each other. And especially then in a tantric way, the negative goes back to source and the consciousness goes back, and then immediately we have a response, what we did. And so the angels or the masters are telling us what we have done in that moment. And that's, most of the time, not only for ourselves, but also collectively in the mirroring effect. So, and that's beautiful. For me, I can relate to the stories in that way that I'm living. The movie that I live. I want to respond to another thing that you were asked was, it's very simple. If you connect to the physical body, it's always physical is connected to the subconsciousness. So there are always blockages within the system, they will be reflected. Or else we would be completely of light. So as long as we're still in a physical vessel, we are in ascension transforming the physical bodies. And all the light workers are doing that on their level of ascension.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if there's anything that, and I would love to collaborate with you guys again, and maybe we can talk Morgan into sitting with us. But I wanted to just offer this up. If there's anything that you would like to do together, I don't really know what you do together. If you want to do an activation, a blessing, light language, or just if you have something else you want to just talk about before we head out.
Definitely activations. We do lots of things, but bring an activation in right now. All I have to do is, yep, here we go.
Kitiena kurta asishan takatia.
Ikirakatorna mashante namikia a antukuratora in tegaraka sasake ma anakin nakaya u shaname ikin nakikia the kota kurusakutora katara pekin namareteri in noturia mama yakwa mantiante moriori kata shanaki. Aya kita, Maya aka.
Kinino kurta sasintati, antinu kupa ai anti suntu kurta kasintinti shintakati, kianino maniyata, intina.
I think somebody I've talked to refers to these unions as power couples, and you guys definitely fit that bill. I'd love to collaborate with you again in the future, and it's been an honor to sit down with you and share space with you. I appreciate it. And let me ask you, where do you live in the States? What part of the country?
Right now, Ohio.
Okay.
That's temporary actually popping back and forth to Europe and stuff because of his.
Okay.
That's where we are right now.
I'm just curious, as we get on the road, you know, I'm sure you can relate to this. We don't have any long-term plans because we've learned that, you know, we're just told to do, you know, pretty much in the moment. So, but if I just wanted to know, just in case we're in your area, but yeah, I have a feeling we'll connect at some point in the physical, which ought
Yeah.
to be real. Yeah. Ought to be interesting. You guys take care. Thank you for the work you're doing. Peace out to you, and all blessings to you and all your family.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.